Alright, in number 20, it's asking us to evaluate this polynomial when x equals 4. So what we need to do is replace all our x's with 4. So I always encourage students to make a shell or a skeleton. Wherever you see an x, I'm going to have you put parentheses, or I would put parentheses. And now let's replace all of those x's with 4's. And now we need to follow the order of operations. So first of all, you got to know your order of operations. We know the highest priority is parentheses. In fact, I call the parentheses king because it is the highest priority. And then we have exponents. Next is either multiplication or division. And the last is addition and subtraction. Notice the ones that are on the same level, like multiplication and division or addition and subtraction, we always go left to right with those, and we do the one on the left first. So multiplications don't come before divisions. We do the one on the left first. They're equal priority. Same with addition or subtraction. So as you look at number 20, the first thing we want to do here is take care of our exponents. So 4 cubed, let's see, and then we also have 4 squared. So we're going to have 64 when we cube 4, minus 8 times 4 squared, which is 16. And let me just write the rest of that row. And now we got a couple of multiplications. That's going to be our next priority. So we got 64 minus, that's going to be 128. 7 times 4, that's 28. Let's bring down the minus 20. And then let's just go from left to right and combine these. We get negative 64 plus 28 minus 20. Next we'll add these and we get negative 36. So we're going to end up with negative 56 as a final answer. And I want to remind you, this expression that we had up here can be put into a calculator, and you can easily verify that negative 56 is the answer using a good calculator. Now keep in mind, we still want to see your work, but certainly a calculator can help you to make sure you haven't made a mistake. Number 21, let's go ahead and make a shell again, and this time we're plugging in negative 2. And now be careful with this one. Again, our exponents are going to go first. We're going to square negative 2 here. Notice the negative that's out in the very front is not part of the base. So we're just squaring negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. But a positive 4, but we got that negative out front, so we're going to get a final answer here of negative 4. We've got a negative 4 times a negative 2, that's going to be plus 8, and then bring that 9 down. So let's again go from left to right. We get 4 plus 9, and so we're going to get 13 there. On number 22, we're adding 2 polynomials. Now, there's just, if we had to write some numbers in front here, they would be 1s. And 1 times anything is itself. We can just drop the parentheses anytime we're adding 2 polynomials. So that's what I'm going to do here. Or you can just ignore them and combine your like terms. So that's what we're going to do next here. We got an x squared and a minus x squared. And those do add up to 0, so that doesn't add anything to my final answer here. I've got a minus 3x cubed and a plus 8x cubed. That's going to be a 5x squared, or cubed. We've only got one x term, so don't forget about him. Let's put that in there. And then finally we got negative 4 and 7, and that's 3, so it'll be plus 3. So on number 23, it's very similar as far as how we start. That first trinomial, or the trinomial there, we can just drop the parentheses. But anytime we have a minus in front of parentheses, we have to remember to distribute a negative 1. It's understood that that's a 1 there, and so we're going to multiply negative 1 times each of these 3 terms. So we're going to get negative 1 times 5x to the 4th. That's negative 5x to the 4th. We'll write it using subtraction. Negative 1 times 9x to the 6th. That's minus 9x to the 6th. And a negative 1 times a minus 5x, that's going to be a positive 5x, so we'll write plus 5x. So again, I would remind you that anytime you have a minus in front of parentheses, each term inside of the parentheses is going to change signs. And now we just combine our like terms. We've got a couple x terms, that's 8x. We've got some x to the 6th terms. 5 and negative 9 is negative 4. And we've got some x to the 4th terms. And 7 and negative 5 is negative 12. And so now keep in mind when we write answers with polynomials, we want to put them in what's called descending order. So we want to take our highest power and put it first. That would be the minus 4x to the 6th. And then we'll put our x to the 4th power next. And then finally x to the 1st, or just the 8x there, will go last. Again, I wouldn't mark this one wrong if you had it out of order, but you should get used to writing your answers using descending order. The other thing I want to mention here is notice when you're adding or subtracting polynomials and you're combining the like terms, the exponents don't change. You add an x squared term with an x squared term, you get an x squared term. So just remember, collecting, combining like terms, leave those exponents alone, they stay the same. Now let's move on to multiplication where things are a little bit different. On 24, let's see, we're going to have to distribute here. Negative 3a to the 3rd times each of the 3 terms inside the parentheses. So here we're going to get negative 18, and notice a cubed times a squared. We're going to add our exponents. We get a to the 5th. So negative 18, a to the 5th. Negative 3a cubed times a negative 5a, we're going to get a positive 15, and then a times a cubed is a to the 4th. And then finally we got negative 3a cubed times 2. That's going to give us a minus 6a cubed. Alright, let's move on to number 25. Now keep in mind in the next couple screens here, they were going down vertically in order, so I'm going to be going a little bit out of order here. On number 25, we've got a binomial times a binomial, and so we're going to FOIL this. Remember, f means we're going to multiply our first terms. A times b, that's ab. And then we're going to multiply our outer terms. And so a times c, that's ac. And then we're going to multiply our inner terms. That would be negative 3 times b, or negative 3b. And then we'll multiply the last terms. Negative 3 times c, that'll be a minus 3c. And in fact, there's nothing further to do there. Let's go ahead and look at number 31. Now we're factoring, and we're going in the opposite direction. I need 2 binomials. I know when I factor a trinomial, I normally get 2 binomials. We use actually what's called the AC method when we have 3 terms like this. And so we would find our AC. In this case, A is 1 and C is 6, so AC would be 6. Our B term is the coefficient of x, so that's going to be negative 5. And so we need 2 numbers that multiply to 6 and add to negative 5. Well, let's see. 1 and 6 and 2 and 3 are only factors of 6. Now, since these 2 numbers need to add to a negative, and the other thing is, keep in mind, if 2 numbers multiply to a positive 6, they're both positive or both negative. And since these need to add to a negative number, they must both be negative. So let's make all these negative. So you can see the one that works is the negative 2 and the negative 3. So this is the key step when you're using the AC method. Make sure your numbers work. Negative 2 times negative 3 is 6, and negative 2 plus negative 3 does give you negative 5. So let's go ahead and split our b term. We're going to have x squared when we bring that down. The minus 5x, we're going to use negative 2x and negative 3x in place of that. Those are the 2 numbers that we just found. And then don't forget to bring down your plus 6. And so once we've split our b term, we factor by grouping because we have 4 terms. So our first 2 terms, we can factor out an x times x minus 2. And we know if we've done this correctly that we should get an x minus 2 factor when we factor the negative 3x plus 6. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. So notice I need something times x to give me negative 3x. That's negative 3. So let's put a negative 3 in here. Notice negative 3 times negative 2 does give you the 6. And so this is going to work. We've got two terms with a common factor of x minus 2. X minus 2 times x, and x minus 2 times the negative 3. So x minus 2 is our common factor. And a really nice way to see the other factor is just cross out those x minus 2's and look at what's left there, x minus 3. So the final thing I want to mention here is you could FOIL this out and verify that that does equal what we started with. So that's always a good way to check yourself. Alright, let's move on to the next screen here. Actually, we're going to stop right here.